Hey guys, Ega here. Today, for the first time on the channel, I'm taking a look at a pair of in-ear monitors with the Meze ALBA. What makes this one particularly interesting for me is that Meze Audio are actually from my home country of Romania, and I've been wanting to feature them on the channel for quite some time now. Full disclosure here, the ALBAs were sent in by Meze Audio for review, but this is not a sponsored video. In fact, I was the one that got in touch with Meze and asked them if they would be interested in providing one of their products for review. They are perhaps best known for their ultra high-end open-back headphones like the Meze Empyrean and the Meze Elite, but their catalog covers a wide range of headphones, including more down-to-earth cans like the 105 IR or the 99 Classics with their iconic walnut design. The ALBAs, meaning dawn in Italian or white in Latin, are the spiritual successors to Meze Audio's discontinued pair of high-end IEMs, the Advars. They share the exterior shape and the same 10.8mm driver design, but at a much more accessible price point, making them an excellent entry point into the world of Meze Audio. So let's take a look at the Meze ALBA. The box they arrive in is white with a silver monoline illustration that references that daybreak motif once again. It's very neat attention to detail, and indeed it looks very premium. Inside the box, we are greeted with two simple leaflets, a technical spec sheet with some product photos of the ALBAs, and a quick guide for plugging in the 2-pin cable and inserting the ear tips. Alongside the IEMs, we also get a carrying pouch made from eco leather. Inside it, we find the cable as well as a bag containing extra ear tips, adding up to a total of 4 sizes. The cable itself is a white transparent braided cable with gold connectors. It's a behind-the-ear type cable that uses ear hooks, which is common among premium IEMs. And then we have the ALBAs themselves. They're of course mostly white, as the name suggests, doing away with the black and gold color scheme of their predecessors. The main body is made from a zinc alloy and finished in pearl white, and while I'm not sure what finishing process Meze used here, I can say that the end result is simply stunning, resulting in something that feels almost like ceramic. The silver accent pieces are aluminium with an anodized finish, and if your eyesight is good enough, there's some tiny lettering revealing the birthplace of these IEMs. Alongside the main box, we also get this smaller one for the USB-C adapter cable, but calling these adapters is a misnomer, really. Inside the USB-C plug, there's actually a tiny DAC and amplifier, and without those, there would be no analog signal to send to the classic 3.5mm headphone jack. So these accessories are quite important to the overall experience, as a cheap adapter can and will compromise the sound quality. It's great that Meze Audio decided to include one here and ensure that the signal chain isn't compromised in any way. Right, so let's move on to the first impressions of actually listening to the ALBAs. I was never really a big fan of in-ear monitors, as pretty much all the ones that I tried in the past ended up being quite uncomfortable for longer-term listening. For me, the ALBAs are perhaps the first IEMs that I can say are truly comfortable. I used them for hours at a time and could have gone for hours more, all with no fatigue, just some regular fiddling to keep the seal tight. I listened to a varied selection of music, including some of my usual test tracks, and I'll have the playlist linked down in the description for those of you who are interested in listening along. For my listening sessions, I used the ALBAs both with the included USB-C adapter, as well as directly plugged into my PS Audio Sprout 100 amplifier, and I couldn't really hear any audible differences between the two setups. Naturally, one of the first things I wanted to test out was the ALBA's bass response. I listened to Hidden Orchestra's Broken, a track with very low-reaching sub-bass, and I'm happy to report that the Meze ALBAs absolutely deliver when it comes to bass. They have plenty of it, but here a perfect seal is paramount. If the ear tips are even slightly under or oversized, the bass will be underwhelming or even non-existent. For me, the medium-sized ear tips are a great fit, and they create a good seal after a few minutes of sitting in my ears. As a counterpoint, however, even the S-sized ear tips were too large for my girlfriend, and here an even smaller size would have been great to have included. Listening to Boards of Canada's Skyliner, the ALBAs render a wide soundstage and imaging is excellent, all while the underlying bassline comes in with just the right amount of punch. I usually prefer speakers because they offer a more defined stereo image with clear directionality, but the Meze ALBAs positively impressed me by not sounding too much like the music is happening inside my head. They have a way of disappearing or not calling attention to themselves, or maybe it's their comfort that makes me less aware of the fact that I'm wearing earphones. That being said, I find they can feel a bit bright on some tracks, or perhaps a bit too revealing. Ultimately, it comes down to how music is produced, but when presented with a brighter mastering, I feel like the Albas don't do very well. For example, tracks like Mogwai's We're No Here benefit from a more darker sounding pair of headphones or speakers. On the Albas, however, this track loses some of its impact due to the brighter sound. I wouldn't go as far as to say that the Meze Albas are harsh. Even on busier tracks like Sleep Tokens to Summoning, they sound incredible and not at all tiring, but again, here the mastering simply suits them better. In the second half of Idol's The Beachland Ballroom, the Albas are well composed, the kick drum and vocals come through cleanly through the distorted guitar strumming. So the Albas can be quite versatile. They're not a one-trick pony or only suited for one specific genre of music, but they do fit squarely into that audiophile hi-fi sound that can be unforgiving depending on how tracks are produced. For me, the standout quality of the Albas is by far their comfort. They are great to wear for hours at a time, which is no small feat for a pair of in-ear monitors, and arguably it's the most important one. They are also competitively priced relative to other hi-fi IEMs, but I think the value proposition here is a sort of antidote to analysis paralysis. In a sea of tens, if not hundreds of hi-fi IEMs available on the market today, with the Albas you get the Meze audio pedigree and excellent build quality. Ultimately, with audio, and even more so with IEMs, it's all subjective, but I can say that I see myself taking the Albas along with me whenever in the mood for on-the-go listening. That's going to be all for this one. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll be happy to answer any questions down in the comment section below. Bye for now.